You may have heard people buy with emotions and justify with logic. So what does that mean for you as a salesperson, and why are you not doing it? I'm Sylvan Bell. I'm coming to you live from Sacramento, California, and a perfect day to talk about sales and a perfect day to talk about buying and selling with emotions. Now, here is the real deal. I'm gonna give you some insights. I'm gonna pull back the curtains, and I'm gonna explain a couple things to you that traditional sales training doesn't cover. Traditional sales training is all about logic. If I get you to say this, then this is what's going to happen. And to a sense, and to an expectation, that's okay. But a lot of times salespeople are asking the wrong questions, so they're getting the wrong answers. I have this belief, after writing with salespeople as much as I have, and studying sales and persuasion as long as I have, that there's a sequence, there's an order of operations to the sales process. You're going to meet the person, you're going to build some rapport, you're going to have a conversation. Then what's going to happen is you're going to go in discovery phase, and discovery phase is all about questions. Tell me about your problem. Now, questions, the most powerful question isn't necessarily the first question. The most powerful question is going to be the follow-up question. And this is where salespeople really screw this up. Salespeople will go through a process, discovery phase, I got 10 questions, I've answered the 10 questions, and now it's time to move on. It's like, no, silly, this is what we're going to have to do. You're going to ask 10 questions, but in between each one of those questions, you're going to do follow-up questions. And those follow-up questions are going to be about emotions. And the best place to start is negative emotions. What are you frustrated with? What are you angry about? What do you not want to have happen? What do you hate? There's a lot of different ways to do this. Now, I've got a video like the 5 most common negative words to use in a sales process. I'll put a link to it so you can find it really easily. And then talk about the positive things that you could do tied from the negative experiences that buyer has. So I'm going to give you the real deal, why emotions are not explained and why emotions are taught, because it's not understood. So if you've ever looked at anchoring, which is an NLP strategy that helps you tie an emotion to a physical movement, Tom Fazzini teaches it. Awesome dude. You got to check out Tom Fazzini. Nice guy, love him, very brash, says what he's thinking. That's Tom. Good, fantastic sales trainer, okay? Now, what you're going to find is most sales trainers don't teach how to use emotions because they don't use them. All they use is, I'm going to logic you to the sales process. I'm going to make you buy, and I'm going to use old school sales tie downs, and I'm going to make you do this stuff. And that works to an extent, except for you build a lot of rejection, you build a lot of objections in the sales process, and it usually leads to a lot of complications later on down the road, discounting and processes that you're going to have to do. So the reason why emotions are not explained is, I'm going to have to delve down a track that's not too perfect, and it's not going to be an exact science. But here's the thing. For the most part, you're going to find that most salespeople are men. There's women that are in sales, and they should be, because women are fantastic. But in nature, in the way that it works, is most women are not afraid to talk about emotions. Most women will open up to each other and say, here is what I'm feeling, and here's what's going on. And 100%, this is a generalization. It's not 100% accurate. But you decide, okay? So women go back and forth, and women will talk about emotions, and women will talk about what's going on, but this is something that men are not supposed to do. It's taboo. Men, for some reason in society here in the United States, they're not supposed to talk about emotions because it somehow makes them weak as a man, okay? So we got 2 things going on. We got nature and nurture, and then we've got the world of sales. Most sales trainers are men, and most men, by nature, are scared to talk about emotion, so they can't teach you as a salesperson effectively how to use emotions to sell. And I know this is going to be a controversial topic, and you can agree or disagree. Put a comment in the box below. Do you agree that women are better at talking about emotions than men? In general, this isn't an absolute, it's a generalization. And because of that, most sales trainers that are men aren't going to talk about emotions. They don't know how to do it as effectively as women do, okay? Generalization, not 100%. So we got a man sales trainer that doesn't really talk about emotions, and they're not really used. And then the second thing is, if you're not used to using emotions in the sales process, the first couple times that you do it, it may feel manipulative because 1, you're uncomfortable talking about emotions anyway. And then 2, by the time that you ask the question, how would you make that feel? What feeling did you have around this product or this service? Tell me what you're thinking. By the time that you ask, how does that make you feel? Salespeople start freaking out. They're like, if I ask that, it's going to be super manipulative. But the person's thinking about it anyway, right? People buy with emotions and then justify with logic. So they're thinking about their emotions anyway, but most people are scared because most salespeople are men, just a generalization, not 100%. I can't give you data or statistics, but I've been with enough salespeople that like I ask them, I say, hey, look, in the discovery phase, why did we not talk about emotions? We, because I'm writing with you, why did we not do it? I was nervous. Why? Well, because I felt like I'd be manipulating the person. Like, no, the person's thinking about it anyway. You should be discussing this. You should be having these conversations. You should be talking about it. Now, your job, you have an assignment from watching this video. Your job in the video now is to come up with multiple different ways to ask, how would that make you feel? And how do you feel about that statement? Okay? I've given you 2. It's your job to figure out how to come up with about 15 to 20 of them because you're going to need those in the discovery phase. Every product or service that I've ever worked with, there's usually about 15 to 20 questions that salespeople have about products, widgets, and gizmos. And if you have 15 to 20 different ways to ask about feelings, now you can wrap those open. If you know how to anchor, one of the things that's going to happen is you can tie that emotion to a problem, to a product, to a service, to a person, and you win. So check out Tom Fazzini, persuasioncodes.com, and it'll really help you out. So like, I mean, I've given you what I believe is a process that's entirely missing from sales strategies and techniques, right? Besides anchoring, most salespeople are scared out of their mind to get to the emotions in sales because 1, they don't know how to, 2, they haven't been trained to, and 3, they think it's manipulative. Now, if you're doing something to harm or cause problems for somebody, I think that's entirely wrong. But if somebody has a problem that needs to be solved, there's nothing wrong with getting the emotions involved and having the conversation like, okay, if this happened to you, how would you feel? And get the negative experience, and then you could anchor it, and then you could find out what's going on. And then how would you feel if we could solve that problem later on down the road? Not at the same time, later on down the road, okay? So there you go. That's why emotions in sales are so difficult, and people buy with emotions and justify with logic, and so many salespeople screw this up. So many sales trainers screw it up because they don't know and they're not paying attention, okay? So 100%, I, Scott Sylvan Bell, had to make some generalizations. They are not complete statements, they're not absolutes. And I will tell you that one of the reasons why women make fantastic salespeople and are like the hidden secret in the world of sales is 1, because they could use emotions and they're very good with them, and 2, because they can rationalize just about anything. Right? So I was having a good conversation with one of my friends, and he was like, hey, Scott, I know this woman, and she said, hey, look, that sweater's $100, and I could probably wear it 20 times. That's $5 a wear. Like, you think about how to rationalize things. Work with some female salespeople. I'm going to give you a sales tip, sales strategy, piece of sales advice. If you're a guy, find a fantastic woman that does sales and figure out a way to do a ride-along with her and watch how she's going to use emotions to sell. And if you know a guy that uses emotions in sales, pay that dude and ride with him. I'm not saying that women have the corner on the market on emotions and sales, but they're pretty high up there, pretty close to having it. So there you go. If you've never been to my channel, find the subscribe button somewhere down here on the bottom, hit subscribe, and every time I send out a video, you'll get an update that says Scott Bell Consultant sent out a video. You should check it out, which you should. And yes, I had to use generalizations and not absolutes. Simmer down now. We'll see you soon. Thanks for dropping by. Aloha.